Token family. Tell me why the
What's up? Welcome to Breathe the Mannequin. I am Bree. So I stumbled across this Instagram page that creates AI videos of dead people becoming angels, like the video that you just saw. And I wanted to talk about it because they made me deeply uncomfortable. The more I dig into this, the more I realize that we're watching the beginning of something that is about to get much stranger. I believe this page is called Duty Cows. Do decals? I think they're trying to play off the phrase duty calls, but I don't really know how that works out phonetically. Like, I could see it, spelling wise, but anyways. So, in these videos, there is a still image of a person or a group of people, and suddenly the image begins to move, and one of the persons in the image will suddenly sprout wings and turn around and fly off into heaven. Now, which person it's going to be, which direction they're going to fly, what color those wings are going to be, how the other people around them react, those are all a mystery. It was a complete surprise every single time. It's this guessing game of who's going to be the person to fly off into the sky. And that's part of what makes it seem fucked up. Is it morbid? I don't know if I would say that it's morbid. It's part of what makes it seem strange, odd, makes me feel uncomfortable. So these videos exist at the intersection of grief, technology, and faith, and are creating this mixture between humans' need for catharsis with AI's uncanny valley. Also, I'm sorry if I sound like I'm sick in this one. I've been getting over a cold for like 2 weeks. I'm gonna go to the page now and look at a few of them. Good Lord. Oh God. There's so many. Good Lord.
This is why I love you. Because
Okay, first of all, that's a very unflattering way for him to ascend to heaven. Those pants are a little on the snug side. Also, a lot of the ascensions include that little running up thing, and it looks really awkward. I'm not really sure why that they do that. Also, I'm confused. Did they want this to be done, and then they did just like a screen capture of their phone screen, and they said this is the picture that I want to use. Yep, she was the one. So with that one, there's the whole guessing game. Who's it gonna be out of that group? I guess if it's for the family, they're gonna know, right? Ah, man, there's just something so creepy about how they look over at her. Like, I guess it's time for you to go. Everybody's just so happy and everybody's so smiling. And then it's gotta, do the AI generation of the rest of this scenery. We don't really know if that's what the rest of this building looks like. It makes me wonder how they feel seeing that the AI is just making up what it thinks the rest of this building looks like, and if that takes away from it at all.
I wish that I could hold you now. I wish that I could touch you now.
So as you can see in that one, the guy has some like holographic wings, and it just makes me wonder, did they choose that? And he's got like some extra little things coming behind him. Oh man, these are hard to watch. I'm just wondering, like, as the other ones, the people have feathered wings, which I would say another issue is the difference in quality. These things vary wildly in quality. Also, something else with this is that woman shakes her head a little bit, and I'm just wondering if that's a picture, what's happening there? Why'd that happen? There's a part of me that's having a hard time believing that the family was okay with this. I'm just realizing that the family doesn't have to consent to this at all. All it takes is for a single person to upload their loved one's image to duty calls, and their creepypasta loved one is flying off into the heavens on the internet forever. There are a lot of ones on here that are of babies. I think I would feel differently if they were making these for the families and then giving them directly to the families. But it's a business, so they have to advertise themselves. And part of that advertising themselves is taking these and putting these on their Instagram page because they're selling these for money. And I think that's what makes it really morbid. The commercialization of it. Real nice. This is far from the first time that we have seen people using technology to cope with death and to capture their loved ones in this type of way. Victorian death photography, also known as postmortem photography, was the practice of taking pictures of deceased loved ones, especially children, to preserve their memory in an era of high mortality when photos were rare and expensive. These often unsettling images portrayed the dead as if sleeping or alive, using techniques like propping their bodies with stands, painting eyes open on closed lids, and staging them in home settings with family or in cradles, serving as cherished keepsakes and a way to cope with grief. This whole thing is just making me feel so emotional because it's just showing how much people love their family. I didn't know how creepy this whole thing was going to be. Honestly, I don't think I'm necessarily creeped out by the death aspect, in that these are impressions and images of dead people. Death is normal, right? Death happens all the time. My grandmother passed away and she had a headstone. My grandfather passed away last year and he has an urn that sits on my grandma's table. I think it's different when you see a symbol that represents a person's death. Even if you know that their remains are connected to it, like a gravesite or an urn, that feels different than seeing an image of the deceased, right? The idea that this person is dead and people are still touching and manipulating their body as if they're alive. And I think that the AI angels are like a digital version of doing that. People still manipulating the dead person's body or their likeness. I think that's the part that's creepy. There are also death masks, which are plaster or wax casts of a deceased person's face used for memorializing the dead, creating lifelike portraits or sculptures like funeral effigies or as mementos, while paintings of the deceased like mummy portraits were realistic depictions placed on mummies or painted for commemoration, both serving to preserve the likeness of the dead, bridging the gap between life and death before photography. It's getting a little creepy in here with all these damn candles. It's like dark outside. Getting a little freaked out. Those are ways in which a person's dead body was manipulated, and that's how they kind of relate to the angels phenomenon, because it's the people still kind of manipulating that person's visage after they're gone. There have been other ways that people have used technology. VHS memorial videos in the 90s, how you can memorialize a Facebook page or Facebook memorial pages where family and friends can go and share memories after a person has passed away. Also, apparently there's a such thing as QR codes on gravestones, which are scannable codes that link to an online memorial, providing a digital space for stories, photos, videos, and a virtual guest book about the deceased. Companies offer these services, or families can create their own by linking a QR code to a website of their choice. So humans are going to continue finding ways to use technology to be able to memorialize their deceased loved ones. These AI angels are just one of the latest iterations. But I think that something about this just feels fundamentally different when the technology can make the dead move, speak, or in this case, fly. I found an AI video of guests aboard the Titanic. It shows them before and during the ship sailing. And there's just something about it that seems fucked up. Because we know what happened. So to see this very cheap looking AI making light of the situation just seems kind of messed up. And there's something about how bad AI can make a terrible incident seem cheap. Looking at these videos, a lot of them, the AI looks really bad. There are differences in the types of wings that sprout, how large or small they are, what types of wings they are. Some people had tails, some people had white wings, some people had like neon wings, some people had wings that were the color and texture of their clothes. There was just no consistency. As far as the backgrounds go, I guess the AI did its best. And some of them, it really was a toss-up of where they were going to fly. Some of them flew up in the air and there just wasn't a ceiling there. Some people flew out of doors. The very awkward movements that the people made in these videos, the little steps of the feet was particularly awkward, and how in a lot of these, the heaven looks kind of like a Windows screensaver. When I'm watching this, there's just this weird sense that there's a gamification of death, right? It's a guessing game. Who's dead? Who's going to be the person who's going to fly off? Oh man, it's a kid. And I think that specifically what's bothering me is this is clearly not a situation where they've created their own AI model, where they've designed it with this purpose, or at the very least, they're making sure that everybody's getting a good quality end product. As you can clearly see, there are wild variations of quality throughout. And it doesn't seem to matter of the subject. It doesn't seem to matter how many people are in it. What could be happening, based on my own experience with AI, is sometimes you enter in a prompt and AI just spits you out something. I'm going to assume they did not go with the very first thing that was generated. If it came out wonky the first time, they tried again, and maybe they tried it until they were like, okay, I guess this is the best we're gonna get. Grandma's gonna have some wings that are the same color as her leopard printed dress. The fact that some of these have really terrible quality seems disrespectful to me. There's just a feeling of like, what happens if this becomes an industry? Clearly, this imagery is based off of Christianity and the concept of heaven. These are angel wings that are sprouting off of people's backs and they're flying up into heaven. I highly doubt a person who is non-religious, such as myself, would be purchasing something like this. In fact, I think the fact that I'm a non-religious person is what is kind of contributing to me being horrified by what I'm seeing. I think a lot of religions rely on imagining heaven as this unseeable but beautiful paradise, and these videos are providing a visualization that these people need to believe is happening once their loved one passes away. I mean, I can only imagine if you've lost a child, and maybe this visualization of your child going up to heaven, no matter what the quality looks like, is going to be enough to put your soul at peace. And I think that we humans are just very visual creatures, and visualization is very important. So there's clearly a market for that, and this company is just answering the call that clearly people need to see. People don't want to see death as an ending. They want to see death as a transition. So I did reach out to them and ask them how much the service costs. They did reach back out to me, and it turns out they cost $20. Death is very expensive. Families are spending so much money on a funeral already, or on a cremation. You might spend $50 on flowers every month at a grave, or $200 a year for an online memorial page. Grief counseling sessions are going to cost hundreds of dollars. There is a belief that due to the pandemic, a lot of people were not able to say goodbye to their loved ones properly. So a lot of them were dealing with grief without proper closure. So during that time, digital memorials became normalized. So we are experiencing the rise of the AI companion connection. There is a spectrum of digital resurrection. There are text chatbots of the dead. There are AI voice recreations of the dead. There are visual deepfakes of the dead, where they're moving around, talking, looking just like they're alive. This is something that we see a lot in Hollywood and in movies. There are an uncomfortable amount of movies that are using deepfakes and AI imagery of deceased actors. Think Carrie Fisher in the Star Wars movies, the digital recreation of the late actor Harold Ramis in Ghostbusters Afterlife, and some very disturbing ads featuring Bruce Lee and Audrey Hepburn, which seems awful on a whole other level because they're ads. They're trying to get you to buy something, but these people have been dead for decades. I don't like it. There's also the rise of AI girlfriend or AI best friend or AI partner. These AI companions promise to always be there. A lot of people have gotten completely lost to these. The difference is these companions are completely AI. Some of them are not based off of deceased people. That is not true for all of them. Some of them definitely are based off of deceased people. You upload deceased loved ones, maybe how they spoke, voice recordings or text that they have. And there is technology out there that can take that and turn that into a chatbot that you can communicate with. So I watched a couple of videos on this, and I watched one on Void Productions about AI girlfriends. And their video details the story of Eugenia Kaida, a Russian-born tech entrepreneur and the CEO and co-founder of Replica, one of the world's largest AI companion apps. The origin story is, in 2015, her close friend, Roman, was killed by a car in San Francisco at the age of 33. After his death, Eugenia found herself constantly rereading their text message conversations. She had her AI startup, Luca, build a chatbot using thousands of her text messages with Roman. This became RomanBot, AI that could text in Roman's voice and style. What happened next was the RomanBot was released publicly and became surprisingly popular. In 2017, this technology became the foundation for Replica. Replica now has over 2 million users who create AI companions for friendship, romantic relationships, and emotional support. Eugenia has positioned Replica as being about connection and combating loneliness. Her story provides a bridge for grief tech and AI companions, right? She created an entire industry because she couldn't let go of her dead friend. And it shows how grief drives technological innovation in unexpected ways. The line between memorial and resurrection is blurry, and it shows how people use technology to maintain contact with the dead and how that can evolve from personal need to a commercial product, as everything does in this country. Now for the hard questions. Can the dead consent to becoming digital angels? Is it different when it's a baby who's never had a chance to have an opinion? Would the quality of the AI matter? Would better quality make this more or less disturbing? And then there's the fact that these videos live online forever, permanently. And who benefits from this? The grieving families for catharsis, the creator for profit, the platforms for engagement, and does it matter that the dead doesn't? At what point does memorial become exploitation? There are several dead actors who never consented to their likeness being used in these modern day movies, but their families consented to it and are profiting from it. You might be thinking, well, what if the actors wanted their family to profit off of their likeness? As someone who has a family that is currently facing some internal strife, what if they don't? What if they didn't have a good relationship with their family? Didn't they learn from the Pirates of the Caribbean that dead men tell no tales? Now the slippery slope, right? Where does this go? Today, it's flying to heaven. Tomorrow, it's having conversations. What's next? Full digital resurrection in VR? Maybe a Black Mirror-esque situation. AI quality will inevitably improve dramatically. Costs will likely decrease and accessibility will likely increase. It's already been happening this whole time. Should there be laws about digital resurrection? Who owns the rights to a dead person's likeness and for how long? Bruce Lee died in 1973, and the Johnny Walker Change the Game campaign came out in 2013, 40 years later. But his family consented to it. Should there be age restrictions on who can be digitally recreated? My prediction, if there's money to be made, there will be money made. That is what I think. Being able to see your dead loved one formally tell you goodbye, especially if they didn't get a chance to do that while they were alive, has to be deeply cathartic. And I think that's something that you can't take away. Death is one of those things that we all have to face, but nobody wants to die. Death can be violent and unpredictable. Just thinking about the different age ranges of everyone in those videos is insane. How it genuinely broke my heart to see people holding tiny babies only to release them to fly up into heaven. That was truly horrific. Like I mentioned, my grandfather passed away last year, but he had been sick for a long time. My birth father passed away a few years back, but we weren't close. Was it still shocking? Definitely. But I don't think it was the same. If a person is elderly and they pass away from old age, that's one thing. Or if a person has been sick for a long time, your heart has some time to prepare. Not to say that that's every person in this video, but a lot of those people were young. And not even just children or babies, but a lot of them were they were teenagers or people in their 20s or 30s. And I'm like, oh man, they had so much time left that they could have been here. But I haven't experienced this type of grief or this level of grief, which is why I'm trying to approach this very carefully and respectfully. I think ultimately I understand the need and am deeply unsettled. I think that grief is not universal. We don't all handle it the same way. And technology can amplify existing needs, including the need for catharsis. And my discomfort or our discomfort, if you were also put off, doesn't invalidate their need for catharsis. But I do think that we should think critically about technology as a response to grief. I think that we should be very careful about how we continue along this path. I think, honestly, it's just going to get more and more problematic is what I think. Which is what I'm worried about. You might be thinking the question is, should this exist? It already does. I don't really see it going anywhere. I mean, maybe. Who knows? Maybe the politicians will develop a conscience and actually I don't know if I think that it shouldn't exist. I think the question is how do we navigate a world where grief and AI intersect? And I would say not to judge the people who are doing this. Everybody processes grief differently. If it gives the family comfort, then so be it. My discomfort means nothing. So what do you think? Do you think that this is ethical? Is this a service that you or someone you know would pay for? Are there any forms of AI content using a dead person's likeness that are ever appropriate? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Give me a thumbs up if you liked this video. Give me a thumbs down if you didn't like this video. This is not a thumbs down. This is a thumbs in. I was just being lazy. I didn't feel like lifting my elbows. Give me a thumbs down if you dislike this video. Something is off with me today. I think I'm unsettled by the topic, which is crazy because I was fascinated while I was doing research, but now that I'm sitting here with all these fucking candles lit up and it looking all creepy in here like I'm on The Craft, something eerie going on in here. Anyway, I will see you next time.